Today's podcast is brought to you by Anchor. And if you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, let me tell you, it is the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. So download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. I can't wait to hear what you create. Hello, truth seekers. This is the Welcome to Your Life podcast. I am your host, Renee Reed. Today, I am asking the question, where is your spark? Don't forget to connect with me on Instagram and Twitter at I am Renee Reed and on Facebook at Renee Reed Health and Lifestyle Coach. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. I post daily and I don't want you to miss an episode. My mission is to help you to live a richer, more fulfilling life loaded with love, security, and moments that matter. But in order to do that, you must discover what motivates you. What is the thing you are willing to sacrifice for, to leave mediocrity and achieve greatness? Listen, once you understand what motivates you, you can help yourself and also help others. You'll go from inspiration to cultivation, implementation, and to the final steps of completion. Sometimes motivation is often overlooked, but it is the secret ingredient that turns good ideas into spectacular realities. As we prepare to welcome in 2018, let's not set arbitrary New Year's resolutions that we don't intend to complete. Let's connect with the power within and create life-altering plans that will benefit us, our families, and our communities. So, sit back and relax into your happy place, and let's get started. Welcome back. Today we are talking about finding your spark and what motivation looks like for you. If I asked you, what is motivation? You could probably give me a general definition or offer an example of a motivational story, probably your own. The most basic definition that I've heard, quite simply, is the desire or willingness to do something. I'm sure at some point or another you have found the desire or willingness to sit on the couch, eat ice cream, and binge watch Netflix. As a matter of fact, that is exactly what I did on Christmas Eve. Finding motivation for easy things is pretty easy. It's finding the motivation to complete the lit review for my dissertation that is not so easy. But what happens when you're trying to start a new project and can't seem to find the fire to get going? Where do you begin when the task at hand isn't immediately pleasurable? How do you find the desire or willingness to press forward into uncharted territory? I know that you are already overwhelmed by certain aspects of your life. I mean, your life is full. You've got a spouse or a significant other. You have kids or grandkids, pets, work, and social obligations. Your time and energy are limited. Now, there's a new thing that you know you should do, but you're not exactly sure if you want to. In order to find out how to get that fire going, you must first ask yourself a few questions. First, what is most important to you? If it's not important to you, you are not going to go through with it. Secondly, what is the thing nagging at your spirit right now, demanding your attention? And finally, what is the thing you find yourself drawn to over and over again? You see, in order to build some motivation, you have to have a reason for the fire to exist. The flames of motivation don't just magically appear out of thin air. Your fire begins with a pre-existing source of heat. Like I mentioned before, you cannot create motivation for something unless you believe in it and find it meaningful. Fortunately, there is an internal drive we all feel. This drive pushes us to do things we want to do beyond our basic needs. It may take the form of a clearly defined goal, like losing weight before your best friend's wedding or before your high school reunion. Or maybe you've decided to run a marathon to raise money for your favorite charity. This drive can also take the form of a general feeling you can't explain, such as the need to work with animals or children, or the desire to travel someplace exotic. You don't quite see the specifics, much less a clearly laid out path, but you find the subtle pull to move. This is the seed of your motivation. This internal drive is where that spark is born. Fulfilling those dreams requires action, but there can be no action unless it's driven by the promise of a meaningful outcome. When we come back, I will give you the steps I used to find my motivation and create a happy life. Hey guys, after you listen to the podcast, don't forget to download your free copy of the Secret to Happiness special report. You only get to live this life once. So download your copy today and learn the tools you need to be happy now. Hey guys, so let's continue our discussion on how to find your motivation to go from mediocrity to success. How do you find the motivation to do the things that you don't find exciting, especially when the request comes from outside yourself? For example, you may have a work project that seems super daunting, or an overwhelming list of honey-do home improvements. How do you find the spark to start those things? Well, the first thing you need to do is to identify how your dreaded activity feeds into your core desires. Those things that intrinsically drive you and have threads that run into every area of your life. Maybe cleaning out the garage is the first step towards building your own photography studio. Maybe that budget review for work is a great way to refine the skills you need to raise money for your favorite charity. Whatever endeavor you're facing, it can only have far-reaching benefits And remembering the bigger picture makes it even easier to tackle the task at hand. The second step is to just get started. Stop preparing and do. Often the things that we dread the most actually become enjoyable once you start. You start to find meaning, you build momentum, and before you know it, you discover that the motivation you never knew existed is here. The more steps you take, the more your intensity grows and the more sacrifices you are willing to make in order to complete the journey. I wanted desperately to go back to school to earn my doctorate, but I knew that in order to do that, I was going to have to push a lot of things aside that I enjoyed doing. I had to first make my family understand that this was important to me, but I had to show them that it was important to me by signing up and completing the application and interview process. After that, it was a done deal. So, get started. Action starts a lot of fires. Sure, you may get halfway to your goal and find you want to go in a different direction, but that's something you would have never known if you hadn't gotten started in the first place. Plus, once you're in motion, you start to see how your current endeavors feed your greater desires. My desire to earn my doctorate has now sparked this need in me to really clamp down and move forward on my nonprofit, Surviving and Thriving Single Parenthood, and to take my writing seriously, and this podcast. None of it would have happened if I hadn't started with my first desire, which was to go back to school. Staying on track becomes easier the more you move in a positive direction. And when we come back, we'll pull it all together. Hello, truth seekers. Have you ever wondered, is this all there is to life? Or how did I get here? Why am I this age and I'm still in this place? Why can't I accomplish the wonderful dreams that I set out for myself? Are you about to celebrate your 40th high school class reunion? Or maybe it's just your 10th. But all of the dreams and goals that you set for yourself have been pushed by the wayside, and you find yourself bound by unhappiness. Hey, I don't want you to stay there. I want you to live the precious life that God intended for you to live. So, download a free copy of my Secret to Happiness special report, and let's get the conversation started. Talk to you soon. Welcome back. So let's pull it all together. To summarize, no matter what you're doing, the most potent ways to build initial motivation are to know what matters most to you. Remind yourself of how the task serves your core desires. So ask yourself those 4 questions before you get started. What is most important to you? Because remember, If it is not important to you, you are not going to complete it. What is the thing that is nagging at your spirit right now, demanding your attention? What keeps you up at night? What is the thing you know you should be doing, but you haven't gotten started yet? And finally, what is the thing that you are drawn to over and over again? The best way to get your motivation going is to start moving. You can always change direction. You can always alter your course. But you can't do either of those things if you are standing still. You have to move in order to achieve. No one achieved greatness by staying in their comfort zones. You have to get out of your comfort zone, get off of your sofa, and move towards your goal. So, what is the next step? Well, that would be to join me tomorrow for another informational and inspirational edition of the Welcome to Your Life podcast. I can't wait to talk to you. I hope that this was helpful. Please let me know in the comments. Call in. I would love to hear from you. And don't forget to subscribe. Remember, if you enjoyed this, share it with someone you love. I'll talk to you tomorrow.